What if I told you that being called a monster for 41 years could lead you to save a king? Elara carried two curses. The first was her albinism, snow-white hair cascading to her waist, skin pale as moonlight, ice-blue eyes that made people flinch. Ghost girl, moon freak. Her pack called it divine punishment. The second curse came at age 7 when fire consumed her mother's cottage. She'd run inside to save the medicinal herbs and emerged with lightning branch scars seared across her left cheek, down her neck, spreading to her collarbone. Double cursed, double damned. At 18, the pack council voted unanimously for her exile. 23 hands rose, including her father's. Her mother didn't even attend. 23 years later, Elara lived alone in the whispering forest, 3 black veils always covering her face, even in sleep. She knew every herb within 20 miles. Mirrors stayed covered. Reflections were enemies. The autumn equinox storm was violent, shattering oaks, flooding rivers. At dawn, she heard it, a low, pained sound near the ravine. She found him dying, a massive wolf, silver-gray fur matted with crimson, deep gashes exposing bone. He should have been dead. But his eyes, golden, impossibly golden, fixed on her with unnerving awareness. She knelt beside him. I can't just leave you. Her hands worked quickly, crushing yarrow and comfrey. You're staring. Everyone stares, but they usually look away, like my wrongness might spread. The wolf remained still, allowing her touch. They called me cursed, she whispered, decades of silence breaking. The white hair was bad enough. Then the fire. My mother said the goddess was punishing me for past life sins. I was 7. What could I have done to deserve burning? The wolf made a deliberate sound, not pain, acknowledgement. They voted me out at 18, 23 council members, unanimous. Even my father raised his hand. Her voice cracked. Do you know what that does? Watching everyone you love agree you're so wrong you can't exist near them? Tears soaked her veil. I thought if I became useful, learned healing, studied herbs for 10 years, became the best diagnostician in 4 territories, they'd let me stay. Didn't matter. Omega value is measured in beauty and breeding. Without those, you're worthless. By the way, if this story has already grabbed you, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Now, back to that moment. She worked until darkness fell, her Omega instincts taking over. I'll return at dawn, if you survive. As she stood, the wolf slowly lifted his massive head. Those golden eyes locked onto hers with profound clarity and impossible intelligence. He wasn't just a dying beast. He understood every word. Elara returned at dawn expecting emptiness. Instead, the wolf waited, wounds impossibly healed overnight into pink scars. Then, the air changed. Pressure built. His body shimmered, bones cracking and reshaping. Within 30 seconds, a man knelt where the wolf had been. Enormous, 6'7", bronze skin, dark silver hair, and those same golden eyes. But the power that crashed over her made her knees buckle. Alpha dominance, pure, overwhelming. Her Omega instincts screamed submission. Kale Stormborn, his voice resonated through her bones. Alpha King of the Northern Territories. The king. She'd healed the king. And you are Elara, moon-touched, twice marked, my true mate ordained by the goddess. Impossible, I'm cursed. The goddess doesn't make mistakes. I knew the moment I caught your scent. He stepped closer. I heard every confession, and when you lowered your veil to drink, I saw your face, your white hair, your pale skin, your scars. He paused. The most beautiful thing I've seen in 200 years. You're lying. Your coloring isn't sickness. It's moon-touched bloodlines, born once every 500 years, chosen, sacred. And your scars came from sacred fire during ritual season, purification and transformation. His voice hardened. I've already claimed you. 3 days ago, I announced to my entire court that you're my queen. Horror flooded her. I never consented. The bond doesn't require consent. It exists. His honesty was brutal. I claimed you publicly before you could refuse, made you untouchable. Every alpha within 300 miles stopped hunting. Every threat ended. That's not protection, that's control. Yes, he agreed, but you were already imprisoned by fear and shame. I just changed who holds the keys. He offered his hand. Come see what you actually are. 3 hours later, she stood in a palace courtyard facing hundreds of nobles. Their whispers started immediately. That's her? The white-haired ghost? She looks like a corpse. What's under those veils? Then a golden-haired beauty laughed. That pale ghost? You can't expect us to bow to something so cursed? The courtyard erupted in mockery. Each word reopened 23 years of wounds. Elara turned on Kale, fury exploding. This is protection. You brought me here to be humiliated. You're no different than my pack, another alpha who sees omegas as property. Pain flashed across his face. You're right, I took your choice, but I'm nothing like them. And I'll prove it. He faced the crowd, power shifting to something colder. You mocked her, called her cursed. Let me educate you. His voice carried like thunder. Her white hair marks moon-touched bloodlines, 1 in 500 years. Her scars came from sacred fire during equinox. She's divinely favored twice, and you called it cursed. He stopped before the laughing woman. Lady Sarah, stripped of title and lands, gone by sunset. Guards dragged her screaming away. Judgment after judgment fell. Nobles who'd mocked her lost everything with his words. Then guards brought forward her former pack. Her father couldn't meet her eyes. These people exiled their own at 18, Kale announced coldly. Apologize, on your knees. But an ancient blind woman pushed through, the seer. Her fingers touched Elara's veil and she gasped. The prophecy. Moon-touched coloring plus sacred fire scars. The twice-marked healer. Once every 500 years when the goddess needs her greatest gift. Your scars form the world tree symbol, life connecting earth and sky. Elara's world tilted, not cursed. Chosen. Show them, Kyle said softly. Her hands trembled as she removed the final veil. White hair caught the light, pale skin glowed. Her scars traced patterns that suddenly looked like divine art. The crowd gasped in awe. Exquisite, Kyle breathed. But Elara saw the power he'd wielded. Nobles destroyed, warriors trembling, her father broken. This power protected her now, but what if it turned against her? You fear me, Kyle said, pain in his voice, even after everything. I've seen you destroy lives with words. That power saved me today, but tomorrow, when you're angry at me instead of for me? The question hung like a blade between them. For 3 days, Kale gave her space. He moved through the palace like a shadow, present but distant, never approaching, though his golden eyes tracked her constantly. The remaining nobles spoke to her with fearful respect that felt worse than mockery. Elara spent the time in the library researching moon-touched bloodlines. Every text confirmed it. Not cursed, extraordinary. The thing her pack called an abomination was actually divine favor so rare that kingdoms went centuries without seeing it. On the 4th morning, Kyle appeared in her doorway. Come with me, there's something you need to see. He led her to a private courtyard, empty except for practice dummies. Your power has been dormant 41 years, suppressed by isolation and shame, but it's there, waiting. I don't have power. You brought me from death's edge with herbs and compassion. That wasn't just skill. That was your gift awakening. He offered his hand. Trust me. 10 minutes. What if everything you learned was designed to hold you back? She took his hand. Electricity sparked between them. The sacred bond flared, golden warmth spreading up her arm. Close your eyes. Feel the bond. His voice dropped to something hypnotic. Don't fight it. She obeyed and sensed it, a golden thread connecting them, but underneath was something else, something silver and ancient. That's you, Kyle murmured. Your power, moon-blessed, sleeping for decades, waiting for the right catalyst. What catalyst? Me. True mates aren't just romantic bonds, they're power amplifiers. My strength becomes your anchor, your gifts become our weapon. The silver pulsed stronger. Now reach for it. She did. Silver light exploded from her palms, cascading over Kyle like liquid moonlight. Where it touched, she felt everything. His old wounds, exhaustion, loneliness she recognized because she'd lived it too. This changed my life in 30 days. The light intensified, pouring from her. Scars on his arms faded, tension released. When it receded, she swayed. Kyle caught her. That was a fraction of what you're capable of, he said with wonder. With training, with me as anchor, you could heal mortal injuries, cure diseases, bring warriors back from the edge. Why now? Why 41 years? Gifts this strong need the right conditions. Isolation suppressed yours. Meeting your true mate is the key that unlocks everything. For 7 days they trained. Kyle taught her to call the silver light at will, to control it. He stood as her anchor when the energy threatened to overwhelm. She learned to heal cuts, broken bones, internal damage. She was extraordinary, always had been, and Kyle never asked her to remove her veils, never pushed, never commanded, just waited patiently, showing gentleness she'd never known an alpha could possess. On the 8th day, a messenger burst in, face gray with terror. Your Majesty, the borders, the Crimson Horde, 3 days away, 15,000 strong. Kyle went still. How many? 15,000, maybe more. We have 8,000 warriors. The messenger swallowed. They're demanding, they want the moon-touched Omega. They say if you hand her over, they'll leave peacefully. If not, silence crashed down. 15,000 warriors, coming for her specifically. They'll destroy everything, Elara whispered. They'll try, Kyle corrected, but they don't know what we're capable of together. Together? Kyle, I've had 8 days of training against an army. With your healing amplified through our bond, I could fight for hours without tiring. My warriors could be healed mid-battle. We'd have an advantage they can't counter. His eyes met hers. But it requires the bond fully sealed, consciously, willingly, the choice she'd been avoiding. The time I promised you is gone, Kyle said, strain under his control. Your ability to merge power with mine. It's our only real chance. Either you choose me now, pain flickered in his expression, or I ride out alone tomorrow at dawn. A choice. A real choice. But what choice was it? Let thousands die because she was afraid? Let this man who'd protected her, trained her, waited patiently, let him face impossible odds alone? You're forcing my hand again, she said quietly, making it so there's only one option. Yes, he agreed with brutal honesty. But this time, Elara, the choice is still yours. I won't claim you without consent. I'll ride out tomorrow, with you or without you. That decision belongs to you alone. Elara stood in her chambers that night, staring at the reflection she'd avoided for 23 years. The mirror showed white hair like moonlight, pale skin that glowed in candlelight, and scars branching across her face like sacred art. Monster, freak, cursed, but now other words layered over them. Moon-touched, blessed, sacred, chosen. Which was true? She thought about Kyle, how he'd looked at her scars and called them beautiful, how he'd destroyed those who mocked her, how he'd trained her patiently for 8 days, never demanding, never forcing, always waiting, how he'd given her this final choice. Dawn arrived too quickly. Elara found Kale in the armory, already in battle gear, his warriors assembling outside. 8,000 against 15,000. Impossible odds. He turned when she entered, surprise flashing across his face. She wore no veils. Her white hair hung loose, scars visible in the pale light. Elara, I choose you, she said steadily, not because of the bond, not because of prophecies or destiny or the goddess. She stepped closer. I choose you because you saw me when no one else could, because you waited when you could have commanded, because you respected my fear even when it hurt you. Relief and wonder crashed across his expression. You're sure? Once the bond is sealed, I'm sure. Her pale fingers found his jaw. Not because I have to, because I want to. The kiss was gentle at first, reverent, careful. But when she pressed closer, the sacred bond between them ignited like wildfire. Gold and silver light exploded outward, cascading through the armory in waves of pure power. The bond that had been dormant roared to life, connecting them at levels deeper than flesh. She felt his strength pouring into her, grounding her power, felt her healing energy merging with his alpha dominance, creating something neither possessed alone. When they broke apart, both were glowing, his skin outlined in gold, hers shimmering with silver. I cried from joy for an entire hour. The tears came unexpectedly, hot and freeing. 41 years of believing she was broken, 41 years of shame, and in one moment, one choice freely made, everything transformed. Kyle wiped her tears gently, his thumb tracing her scars with infinite tenderness. You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Every part of you, Every scar, every inch of pale skin, every strand of white hair. Perfect. For the first time in her life, Elara believed it. The ride to the battlefield was swift. 8,000 warriors moved with deadly precision. Elara rode beside Kael, hastily crafted silver armor gleaming in dawn light. The crimson horde waited on the plains, a sea of red and black stretching to the horizon. 15,000 strong, maybe more. Their leader, a massive scarred alpha, stepped forward. "The moon touched Omega," he called out. "Hand her over and we leave peacefully. Refuse and we take her by force." Kyle's hand found Elara's. Power sparked between them, gold and silver dancing along their joined palms. "She's not property to be handed over," Kyle said, his alpha command making warriors on both sides flinch. "She's my queen, my true mate, and anyone who touches her answers to both of us." The enemy leader laughed. "You're outnumbered 2-1. Brave words won't—" He stopped as the light between Kale and Elara intensified, growing brighter until it was nearly blinding. The sacred bond wasn't just glowing, it was pulsing, sending waves of pure energy that made the ground tremble. "My reign," Elara said, her voice carrying with unexpected authority, "doesn't begin in a palace, it begins here, among those who would threaten what's mine." She turned to Kyle, seeing her own power reflected in his golden eyes, seeing absolute trust there, certainty that together they were unstoppable. The battlefield stretched before them, 15,000 enemies, impossible odds, a fight that would define everything. Elara looked at their joined hands, pale and bronze, silver light and gold, two souls found against every probability. She thought about the scared girl who'd hidden for decades, the woman who'd believed she was cursed. The Omega told she was worthless. That girl was gone. In her place stood someone new, someone powerful, someone who'd chosen her fate instead of having it forced upon her. "Ready?" Kyle asked, his grip tightening. The enemy began their charge, 15,000 warriors screaming across the plains like an avalanche of death and steel. Kyle raised his free hand, his 8,000 warriors held position, waiting for his signal. The crimson horde closed the distance, 500 yards, 300, 200. Elara felt the power building between them, their bond creating something unprecedented. Her silver healing light merged with his golden alpha dominance, spiraling together into something the world had never seen. "Now," Kyle said quietly. The combined energy exploded outward in a shockwave that stopped the charging army mid-stride. Warriors fell to their knees, gasping as divine power washed over them. The silver-gold light didn't harm. It revealed, it purified, it showed every soldier exactly what they were fighting for and against. The Crimson Horde's leader staggered, his scarred face going pale. What is this?" "Divine judgment," Elara said, her voice resonating with power she'd never known she possessed. "The moon goddess shows you truth. You came to take what was never yours, to destroy what she blessed, to corrupt what she made sacred." The light intensified. Enemy warriors began dropping their weapons, falling to their knees, some weeping openly as the truth of their actions crashed over them. "You have one chance," Kyle's voice carried across the silent battlefield. "Leave now, return to your territories, swear never to threaten what the goddess has joined." "Or," their leader managed. Elara stepped forward, silver light blazing around her like a star. "Or you face the full power of a twice-marked healer and her true mate, and we will show you exactly why the goddess only grants this gift once every 500 years. The threat hung in the air. The enemy leader looked at his army, thousands of warriors on their knees, weapons abandoned, faces showing shock and awe and fear. He looked back at Elara and Kyle, surrounded by impossible light, power radiating from them in waves that made the very air shimmer. Slowly, he lowered his sword. We yield." "Swear it," Kale commanded. "Swear on the goddess herself that you'll never return." "I swear," the leader said, his voice carrying across the hushed battlefield. "On the moon goddess, on my pack's honor, on my own life, we yield. We will never return." The silver-gold light pulsed once more, sealing the oath with divine power. Then it faded, leaving Elara and Kale standing hand in hand as the sun rose fully behind them. The Crimson Horde retreated. 15,000 warriors leaving without a single drop of blood spilled, not through violence, but through power so overwhelming they had no choice but to acknowledge it. Kyle's 8,000 warriors erupted in cheers that echoed across the plains. But Kyle only had eyes for Elara. He pulled her close, kissing her deeply as their bond settled into something permanent and unbreakable. "Your reign begins now," he whispered against her lips, "not in blood, in light." Elara smiled, the first real smile in 41 years. "Our reign. Together." He kissed her again, and their combined light blazed across the battlefield one final time, announcing to the world that the moon-touched queen and her alpha king had claimed their throne. Not through conquest, through love freely chosen and power freely given, through scars transformed into sacred art and curses revealed as blessings, through a ghost girl who became a queen and an alpha who saw beauty where others saw only shame. Together, they would change everything. If this story touched your heart, share in the comments which moment resonated with you most. Thank you for your time.